First of all, thank you so much for being willing to be here and answer questions about transformational leadership, because I think a lot of the business people that are in the room today listening to this, they want to know, John, once you've gotten from survival mode and had some success, and now it really becomes more about others, then what does it really mean to become a transformational leader?
Well, I'm delighted to talk to you about it, because you know as well as I do. You and I have taken this journey for a few years together, because you're a transformational leader. And hopefully we can really say some good things that will really add value to all of you that are watching today.
Awesome, awesome. So one of the first questions someone asked, and I really ask a lot of different people, if you could ask him just one question. And I didn't let him have three, one.
Yeah.
And one of them said, Henry Kissinger said, each success only buys an admission ticket to a more difficult problem. So how do we continue to navigate growth in this type of environment?
Yeah, I know that quote, and I think it's a great one. And I think that when he said that, that's exactly opposite of what most people think. Most people think that when they get a level of success, it'll solve all their problems. Oh. And that I've got it made now. My gosh, finally I worked hard. Whoo, I've got some money now. Now I can kind of coast and rest. And what he was really saying is that in the journey, in life's journey, there are continual obstacles, and everybody has problems. If you're in the survival mode, you're trying to put food on the table, and so you've got those kind of issues. But when you get to the success mode, then all of a sudden you have distractions of other people who want a little bit of you, because they say, hey, come over here and help me, or would you like to be in on this deal, and the whole process. And I think what everybody has to understand is very simple, that there is no destination or place of arrival, Kristan, where we can finally say, wow, I've got it made. In fact, I tell people if they really want to relax and rest that much, they need to die. Because there's just no such thing in life. And I used to think I would work hard, pay now, play later. And what I realized is while I was playing, when I got to a certain level, there were other demands upon me. And if you've got children, they've got issues in their life, and it doesn't matter how much money or how little money you have. And if you're moving through life, there are just obstacles and challenges in life. And so what I think we need to understand, as I teach all the time, you've heard me, everything worthwhile is uphill. And it's not like I get to a certain level of my life and all of a sudden it's no longer uphill. In fact, it's kind of downhill, and I just kind of coast the rest of the way. The moment you start coasting, you're going the wrong way, no doubt.
Well, I think I heard you say it a couple times, everything is uphill. And yet people have uphill wants and desires and hopes, and downhill habits.
That's exactly right. You're a good student.
Downhill
but that's
habits.
so true. And the main downhill habit that we have that keeps us from going uphill, the main downhill habit is unintentional living. We're not intentional. And the moment that I'm not intentional, now I'm assuming that things are going to come my way and go easy for me. And that's the moment, of course. The climb is hard when you're realistic. But the climb is a lot harder when you're not realistic. And so what I've discovered is the fact that it's uphill all the way, and that's life. And the person who thinks that it's going to get easier or quicker or better or faster is really kind of deceiving themselves.
Well, you've had a way of being able to bring people along in your journey. You didn't ask them to come, but you put out your vision. I think you said you put it in a dream card, or on a dream card.
Many years
and you would
ago.
hand those dream cards out, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was. I mean, we're talking about 1976. So I mean, that tells you what an old man I am. But yeah, I had a dream card, laminated it, and I was just passing out to everybody because I had this dream, and I kind of had this idea that everybody, wanted to kind of go on my trip. And what I discovered, Kristan, is they all loved the dream. But they didn't all want to take the journey, because, the dream is free, but the journey isn't.
Right.
And so, that's why people get so happy around the table and they talk about, we're going to go build this business, and we're going to do this in real estate, and they're just going crazy, and it's just wonderful. And then when they get up from the table, they've got to really now actuate and make it happen. And that's when all of a sudden we realize people don't give up on their dream, they give up on the journey. And so when people said they wanted to come on with me, I said, well, come on. But then when we started to move, many of them were looking for the exit. And the mistake I made in the beginning, Kristan, is I'd get off the bus and I'd go, oh, please, come on, come back on. And I'd beg them, oh, come on, you want this, I know you want it. Try to bring them back on. And they didn't want it. I wanted it more for them than they wanted for themselves. And one day I realized the best thing I can do is let those people go because now, since it's uphill, a lighter load is easier to go uphill. And so I just let them go. And it was okay. That wasn't their dream. And that's why I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference. I used to just say, I want to make a difference with people. And then I found out a whole bunch of people, they really didn't want to make a difference, because if you really want to make a difference, you'll pay that price. And obviously many don't.
But you also said it is a time that makes a difference. So what's so important right now about this time? Because a few years ago, you were going to retire.
Yes.
And you decided not to, and you showed us an example by emptying all those marbles back out on the floor.
It's the day I lost my marbles.
Right. So what is so important about this time in your life about making a difference and finding more transformational leaders to make a difference with you?
I would almost go back and say, Kristan, that maybe, I've never really discussed this before, but maybe the most important business decision I ever made was to get back in the game. First of all, I didn't have to get back in the game. I have enough money, I've got everything I need, so I didn't have to get back in the game. Well, if you get back in the game when you don't have to get back in the game, you really want to get back in the game. But I was having an L2L conference recently. Tyler Perry and I were having a conversation, and this got very interesting because he was telling about how he built a studio, and he thought this would be big enough for it to meet my needs, and then he outgrew it, and then he had to go build another studio, and he had to go buy more land, and he kept thinking, oh my gosh, hopefully this is it. And when we were talking about that, I said, Tyler, it seems to me that our greatest breakthroughs in life are at the moment when we've already done exceedingly well, and our tendency is to then stop. And our greatest breakthrough is if we go, because all the consistency and all the effort and energy is now compounding. So when I decided to re-enter, I didn't re-enter as a novice or somebody that hadn't put any success under my belt. I re-entered with all this consistency in my life, and all this fruit in my life, and all these people, and all this influence, and all this moral authority. So when I re-entered, it just kind of really compounded and snowballed. And so what I would say and let me just say one other thing. Many years ago, my brother, who is very successful in business, he was about 40 years old. He had already made all the money he needs, and he said, I think I'm just going to retire. And I said, Larry, okay, you got it. You can retire. That's not the question. You're 40 years old, and are you going to just now kind of live for yourself? And this is where I think a lot of people that are successful in life, Kristan, they get to a level where they can take care of themselves, and I think, okay, this is good. I'm done. And I'm sitting there saying, you're done? I mean, do you think God created you and me to take care of ourselves? No, he said we're to be our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper. And so it's kind of like so many people, when they get to a level of success to take care of themselves, they really say to themselves and to others, I really don't care what happens out there. I'm only difference I want to make is for me and for my, us four. And success is about us. You're successful. I'm successful. You've done well. Most of the people here, they've all done well. Mm-hmm. The biggest temptation for us is when we do well to stop, because we have our own needs met. And my whole point is, when we have our own needs met, it's the time to really go forward, because now everything I do in my life now is all focused about significance in others. Everything. I don't have to worry about taking care of myself. I don't have to worry about, getting enough money to pay for my mortgage. I don't have to worry about any of that. So now 100% of my effort is on significance and adding value to people. I mean, I'm all in.
Right.
I'm not at all distracted now. And what I'm saying to all of you is, if you've gotten to that level of success, here, let me just say this. I know a lot of unhappy, successful people. You do. Very unhappy people. But I've never met an unhappy person that lived with significance. I've never run into a person that was adding value to people, making a difference to people, and they'd look at me and say, you know what, my life's kind of empty. Right. So what I learned a long time ago, if it's about me, I get empty pretty quick. But if it's about others, then I am continually fulfilled. So the significant life is the fulfilled life. And I tell people, it not only adds value to others when you live significant life, it gives you great value. I mean, it's almost selfish, like I'm living at the best time of my life, and I'm so fulfilled, I'm telling God, you can't even let me die, because I got so many things I want to accomplish. It's kind of like the guarantee of long life maybe is I'm just adding value to people. But the point being is, when you try to meet the needs, and when you try to fill the needs of others, you get your own needs fulfilled. And we weren't designed for personal success and to live for ourselves. We were created to add value to other people. And that's all significance. That's not at all success.
So let's take you back, gosh, probably 20 years or more. Hillham.
Oh,
And
20 years or more?
well-
That was very nice. She's my friend. I'm 71. That's 51. Let's go back to 22, okay? Let's go,
Well,
gosh, that's
when
almost
you-
50 years.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah, well, I was 22 when I went there,
Well, I don't know how old you were when you made the declaration that you were going to get 300 people to your church
Yeah.
by September.
23. I was 23 years of age.
Oh my gosh! And you said that day got there.
Yeah.
And you looked around and you said, well, what's the count? How many people are here?
Yeah, we had 299. We were one short.
And so there are people here today that want to know, when you have worked so hard
Oh, yes.
for something and you still come up short, where's the grit? Because you said, I'm not preaching till there's 300 in the room, and everybody's like, go get them, Pastor, go find someone, right?
You know what? You can tell the story as good as I can tell the story. But it's true. We had 299, and my first thought was, our goal's 300. And I'm going to go out and find that 300th person. Now, I will be honest with you. After they said, go get them, Pastor, and I walked outside, I kind of looked around and thought, that was kind of stupid. Now what am I going to do? And let me tell you something. When we make a commitment based on a vision that we have, it's always stupid in the average person's eye. I mean, they look at us and say, why do they think like that? Why do they do that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we don't think like an average person. And that day, I went over and got 2 people from across the street. They came. We had 301. But that was life-changing. I'm only a 23-year-old kid at that time. But I said to myself then, that's the power of belief. That's the power of conviction and absolutely being sold on. If you're not sold on you, who's going to get sold on you? If you're not sold on what you're doing, who's going to get sold on? I'm running people all the time. They're kind of wanting somebody else to motivate them to go do what they need to be doing, and I'm just sitting there and I'm saying, no, I don't need you to motivate me. I don't need anybody to motivate me. The cause motivates me. The helping people motivates me. What keeps me going is when I look at people that we're helping, and they say thank you, and look where I am, and look where I was, and I sit there and I say, that's the highest motivation of all is not money. The highest motivation of all is changed lives. Adding value to people. And when you know that you added value to people, you are totally fulfilled. Anybody, I just promise you, the moment that you intentionally add value to people, Kristan, there is something within you that nothing else will ever provide as far as pride and fulfillment and self-esteem and just conviction of what you're doing is making a difference.
But back then, you didn't have a lot of people who were helping you.
No.
And then when you decided that you were going to make a change from being a full-time pastor to now being a full-time pastor of another of business, if you will.
Yeah.
And how did you find people to go along with you? And were you surprised that there were some people that not only didn't want you to go, they didn't want to go with you, but they didn't want you to go either.
Yeah. Well, my statement is, average people want you to stay average. So that's the first thing. And when I made that decision, it was not a popular decision with a lot of people. A lot of people thought I was leaving the ministry, going after money. I mean, it was kind of a difficult time for me. And I'm going to say to all of you, whenever you make a difficult decision, there are a lot of people that are against that. Because, again, they don't have the courage to make that decision. They maybe don't have the conviction to make that decision. And can I tell you something? That's okay. But one of the most important decisions I ever made in my life, Kristan, was I wasn't going to let people who were doing less than me determine how much I should do. I just said I'm not going to do it. I mean, I'm just not going to allow that to happen in my life. And that doesn't mean that I need to go through every open door, but what it does mean is that when I believe that God is talking to me, I've got to live with myself. And yes, that criticism can hurt, and it has some sting to it. But I'll tell you what's worse than that, and that is to listen to it, and then the rest of your life understand that you're living beneath your privileges, and you're living beneath your gifts, and you're living beneath your calling. And, I think that's kind of like the worst kind of life.
So did you have to find some new friends?
Oh, a lot of new friends. In fact, I don't have very many friends that, let me put it this way. When you start out, you got some friends, but if you really progress and go up, you lose a lot of friends. And the mistake I made early was my friend, I just wanted to hold on to him. So I'd hold on to him. And here's what I learned. When you hold on to people that aren't going where you're going, guess what you do? I'm holding on to you, Kristan, so I can't go there either. Mm-hmm. I got to let go. And so I've said an awful lot of goodbyes. I've said it with love, with grace, no bitterness. But no, the people that are with me today, they're almost all new people. And I would say this, usually on a very highly successful journey, the people who start out with you aren't the ones who finish with you. Very seldom can you find somebody that takes the entire trip with you. A few, but not many.
So with the people sitting here today who came here because they want to make a difference, they want to learn how to take that next step in their journey. And as you know, this is a fundraiser, and you actually, tell us why you were willing to bet on me, why you were willing to donate and make a donation, a matching donation for Global Teen Challenge. Why were you willing to do that?
Well, several reasons, but two really good reasons. First of all, yes, I am willing to bet on you. But I'm willing to bet on you because you bet on yourself first. In other words, before I ever gave you any money, you were already pouring your money into it. Mm-hmm. You had skin in the game. And I run into people all the time. They're wanting me to sponsor them. They're not doing anything. I'm not paid a price for this. I'm not sacrificing anything, but would you sacrifice for me and would you help me? And so the first thing is, I'm not betting on anybody until they bet on themselves. So when I gave Kristan a decent contribution, to be honest with you, that was easy because she'd already bet on herself much more than what I was able to give her at this time. So that was easy. The second thing is I look for the credibility of a leader. You had already been a proven success. And if I'm going to put my money on a horse, I'm going to put it on a horse that wins. And I'm going to put it on a horse that's been winning. And when I looked at you and look what you have done with Teen Challenge and the great story, she's always coming up and giving me another story. Oh, let me tell you what happened here. Let me tell you what happened to this person. And it's kind of like, okay, I got it, Kristan. I got it. I got it. But you know what? I love that because you're seeing these change lives. So you're a credible, competent, gifted leader yourself. And the third reason I've done it, I said I was only going to give two, but the third reason I've done it is because it's a great cause. Mm-hmm. I'm on the advisory board for Global Teen Challenge, the whole world Teen Challenge deal. And so I've been with these people, and they're really good people. Mm-hmm. And they're making a difference. If you look at the statistics of Global Teen Challenge or Teen Challenge as far as helping kids get off drugs, their numbers are so much higher than like educational programs and college programs, school programs. I mean, it's like 78%, and the rest of them are like in that 25% range. And the reason for that is very simple. The people that are helping the kids get off the drugs are people that have gotten off drugs themselves. And that's the key. You know as well as I do. My life's been changed. Your life can be changed. Look at me. I made it. You can make it. And so it's been a real privilege to give to you and to your cause. You're a terrific leader, and you got a big heart. You're just like, I look at Kristan Cole and I just say, here comes the heart of Texas right here. And I just love what you do for people. And you're just a wonderful friend, a terrific leader. And I just want to encourage every one of you today. You want to invest in something that's going to give you a high return on your investment. I mean, when we think of success in business and making money, we wonder what the ROI is. When you go into what Kristan is doing and you help her, when you help her, you're going to get a high, eternal, spiritual ROI on your investment. That's why I did it. That's why you need to do it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
It's a joy.
Thank you.